want you to think about the last time you wrote something. Probably within the last 5 minutes, right? Writing is such an important skill, and it is so important that we work on this skill with our students. However, the message we continue to hear from teachers is that you don't have a writing curriculum, you don't have concise writing plans to utilize. Some of you don't even have time in your day when you can teach writing. Don't worry, we've heard you. Today, I'm gonna be sharing tips and tricks for how to launch a successful writer's workshop in your classroom. My first piece of advice today is one that might seem a little obvious, but I promise, stay with me. You wanna make sure you have time in your schedule to teach writing. And when we say time in our schedule, we mean an explicit block of time where you are going to be doing direct writing instruction, and then your students are going to be applying that instruction to their writing immediately after your lesson. In a perfect world, you'll have 45 minutes to teach writing, but heaven knows it's not perfect around here, is it? Any chunk of time that you can commit to that writing block is great. Can only pull 30 minutes? That's all right. Look at your transitions. Think about where you could trim time down. Maybe you could move some things around in your schedule so you have, instead of 5 minutes scattered around, you can group that together to give yourself 25, 30, 35 minutes to devote to writing and student practice of writing. First things first, find a place for it in your schedule. I promise it'll make a difference. If you're anything like me, you've definitely spent some Sundays on Pinterest Googling 3rd grade writing prompts or 3rd grade things for students to write about, and you decide, oh, this is great, we'll write about ice cream this week. I have done that so many times, but I have been able to completely remove that section of my Sunday because now I teach using whole writing units. Not So Wimpy Teacher does have amazing writing units for you to utilize. And there's a few reasons why we suggest teaching in writing units. Reason number one to utilize writing units is the fact that there are really specific skills that students need to be successful in each mode of writing. What you do as a narrative writer is very different than what you do as an informative writer. We want to focus on the skills that are specific to the mode of writing and make sure students are really showing mastery in those skills before we move on to the next mode of writing. I know what you're thinking. How long is that going to take? Well, our Not So Wimpy Teacher writing units are 8 weeks long. I mean, I'm okay with that if it means my students are going to be great narrative writers, amazing opinion writers, and impressive informative writers. Another reason why we love using units of writing is because it gives our students the opportunity to really grow as writers within that mode of writing. I promise you're going to see a world of difference between your students' first opinion writing piece and your last opinion writing piece after you've spent all that time really digging into what a great opinion writing piece is made up of. Within that unit of writing, we really want to encourage you to focus on bite-sized lessons. Instead of giving your students a laundry list of things they need to do in their narrative, think about just one thing they need to do in their narrative. That is going to make it really possible for your students to be successful. Think about those laundry lists that I know all of us have given our students. Whoever actually hits everything on that list? By focusing on bite-sized lessons, students are going to be able to grow as writers one piece at a time. And it means your lessons are going to be really targeted and really focused to not only the standards, but your students' needs. Another key piece of a writer's workshop that we believe is so important is that your students are writing right away, catch my pun, and your students are writing every single day. When I first started working this writer's workshop model in my classroom, the idea of my students having to write every single day was really daunting because I knew my kids didn't like to write. They didn't enjoy it. They groaned when we talked about writing. But I found by using the Not So Wimpy Teacher writing workshop model, my students were becoming eager writers. They were asking when we were going to get to writing that day. And heaven forbid we changed the schedule. They were reminding me, don't forget, we have to do a writing lesson this afternoon. I love seeing my students go from reluctant writers to eager writers, and it was because they were being given the tools to be successful. After you do that bite-sized lesson, your students are then gonna roll right into applying that lesson. That means every student is gonna be writing every single day. Think about in our reading classrooms. Our students read every day to become better readers. Only makes sense that our students write every day to become better writers. Another thing we hear from teachers in our community so often is that planning writing is really daunting to think about the materials and where everything's going to go. Don't worry, you know I have tips for that too. You want to make sure you have designated spaces, both for your writing resources and your students' writing resources. I like to organize all of my writing units in binders. So when I get to that unit, I can pull that binder out. I have everything I'm going to need in there and ready to go. My favorite student organizational tool is that writing journal. We segment our writing journals into 3 sections so students can store their resources, their writing masterpieces, and their free writing or more stories section in the back of the journal. This means students are going to be able to find the things they need, and you are going to be able to find the things you need. That's going to make for a much smoother writing workshop. I think sometimes the most daunting part of starting a writer's workshop is just deciding what you're going to teach and when you're going to teach it. That's why we've made for you an entire writing pacing guide. This is the place to start as you are planning your writing instruction for your whole school year. And did I mention it's a freebie? I'll have our writing pacing guide linked up in the cards and down in the description box for you. I promise this is going to help you launch that writer's workshop smoothly and flawlessly in your classroom this year. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to break my planner out and start thinking about my writing instruction for this year. It's going to really pay off in the end when you have that designated writing time in your classroom where students are writing every single day and applying the skills you've taught them in those bite-sized lessons. Don't forget to check out our writing units on TPT and grab your freebie of the Writing Pacing Guide. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll have more writing content linked for you up on our writing playlist. And as always, I hope you guys have a not so wimpy day. Bye.